This is Cem Ceminay reporting from Istanbul, Turkey. Welcome to my podcast in English. I do this once a week, every Sundays. I just started, so I don't know if it's going to be every Sunday, but this Sunday, welcome to my podcast. It's a Raw and Organic Comedy Talk Show. I don't know if it's funny, but I hope you will laugh because I have the weirdest story ever for you. It's Elton John's from his memoir or his autobiography coming up named Me, Elton John. How creative is that? I mean, what was his second choice? I am Elton John? Well, good for you. Elton John says Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone, the real-life odd couple, almost had a fist fight over Princess Diana. Now, this is weird because I can't put these three together. Sylvester Stallone, Richard Gere, and then Princess Diana. But I guess they were in a party together, and things happened. Princess Diana had quite an effect on gentlemen, according to Elton John, which is very normal and probably true. She was a very attractive, very good-looking lady. In his upcoming memoir, Me, Elton John, which was exclusively excerpted in the Daily Mail, the famous musician recalled a dinner party he once held where actors Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone appeared to come very close to fighting over a fist fight over Diana. Now, I don't know why Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone would have been invited to the same party to start with. I guess they were both famous, they still are, and they were in London at the time being. And they were probably doing business with the guest of honor, who happened to be Jeffrey Katzenberg from Walt Disney Studios, chairman, and it was in his honor. So they invited. They were both invited. Okay. So anyway, they were both invited to Elton John's home, his mansion probably, and straight away Richard Gere and Diana seemed very taken with each other, says Elton, explaining that at the time Diana was separated from Prince Charles, thank God, and Richard Gere, now 70, had ended his relationship, I thought he was married, with Cindy Crawford. Anyway, they were both single and available at the time. That's what makes things morally very right, I guess, according to Elton. As the rest of us chatted, I couldn't help notice a strange atmosphere in the room, says Elton. Now, if Elton John is noticing a strange atmosphere in the room, that probably is a very strange atmosphere. Because, I mean, think about the things he's seen in his life, his career. Judging by the kind of looks he kept shooting them, Diana and Richard Gere's newly blossoming friendship was not going down well with Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, Rambo at all, he adds. I think he may have turned up to the party with the express intention of picking Diana up. Picking Diana up? I mean, this is not like a fast food takeout thing. She's not a hamburger. She's a, for God's sakes, she's the Princess of Wales. She's royalty. How could you pick her up? Anyway, only to find his plans for the evening ruined. When it was time for dinner, Elton John remembers that the group noticed that both Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone, who's 73 now, were absent. And that his now husband, David Furnish, they've had a lifelong relationship. I guess they were together at that time too, but not married. Discovered them squaring up at each other, apparently about to settle their differences over Diana by having a fistfight. What differences? They just met the lady. They just met her. Fistfight? Fistfight? Well, Mr. Action, action star, superstar action, and superstar of romance. How could that be? Although Furnish was able to, Furnish meaning David Furnish, like Elton John's now husband, was able to break things up. This is weird too. How could he break things up? I mean, he's Elton John's husband, for God's sakes. He's not some guy who would get into fights or break up fights. He probably talked them into being more respectable to each other or whatever. I don't know. Not causing a scene. I don't know what he did, but I'm sure that he physically did not get in between them and then try to separate them or whatever. He probably feared for his life. Just getting a blow from Sylvester Stallone would kill him. Anyway, would kill probably Richard Gere too. After dinner, Diana and Diana and Richard Gere resumed their position. Oh, keyword being resumed. Their position together in front of the fireplace. My God, so romantic. A fireplace, Elton John's house, and Diana and Richard Gere resuming their position. And Sylvester stormed off home, John writes, adding that the actor yelled that he would never have come if he knew Prince fucking Charming was going to be here. He didn't want any competition. What was Sylvester Stallone thinking? I really wonder what he was thinking. Because Richard Gere, look at his movies. The guy played American Gigolo. Pretty Woman. He was in Pretty Woman. He's king. He's the official king of romance. Shall We Dance? He played with... he even dances, yeah. He played in the Chicago musical, too. He was with Renée Zellweger or whatever. And when you could tell it was Renée Zellweger, when you looked at her and said, oh, this is Renée Zellweger. Right now, it's not easy. And also, he played with J-Lo in that movie, Shall We Dance? An Officer and Gentleman, Runaway Bride. These are Richard Gere's top movies. Some of his top movies. He's the king of romance. Now look at Sylvester Stallone movies. Rambo, First Blood, Last Blood. He did a dozen of them, I think. He did the last one when he was 73 years old. It just came out. Last Blood. I mean, he's probably going to do this until he is in a wheelchair. Then it's going to be like Rambo and old people's home, like retirement home. saving retirees or people in the rest home in his wheelchair. He's probably going to use, I don't know, an oxygen tank instead of his knife, his blade. He played in Cobra, Assassins, Demolition Man, Lock Up, where he escaped from prison, Judge Dredd, The Expendable. He's the toughest guy on screen, one of the toughest guys on screen. He's the action star. He's an action star, Sylvester Stallone. The only kind of action Richard Gere has seen, on screen at least, is when he took off his socks and bounced barefoot on the grass in Pretty Woman. And even that was in Roxbury Park, I think, in Beverly Hills. Not some wild reservoir, some dangerous place. So what was Stallone thinking? I mean, when he saw that Richard Gere, king of romance, was in front of the fireplace with Lady Diana, just walk away. Why give the looks? What were you expecting? I mean, Richard Gere has the looks. He has the charm. He has the experience. He's the American Gigolo, for God's sakes. He knows how to talk to women, how to behave with them. I mean, he could have a woman become a Buddhist if he wants to. And what can Stallone do? Talk about how he killed bad guys with his bare hands in a jungle? Or maybe talk about his porn movie, The Italian Stallone, in the start of his career, I guess. Well, that would fly good with British royalty. I am sure the Princess of Wales, Lady Diana, would have loved for him to tell all about these things, to hear him with his war stories. Lady Diana's quotes in life is like, oh, peace, quiet, love. And one of them says, like, carry out a random act of kindness with no expectation of reward. Safe in the knowledge that one day someone might do the same to you. I mean, this doesn't exactly fly with Sylvester Stallone's Rambo and what was it? Rocky movies. He's like, punch him back, kill them. But it would fly with Richard Gere. He's like a Buddhist guy. He's a quiet guy. He has the looks and everything. So, I mean, there was no competition there. And if those two were in a fight, well, that's not acceptable too. I mean, how could Richard Gere defend himself against Rambo? This guy was training he trained all his life to be Rambo and Rocky, or playing Cobra, Demolition Man. I would even be scared of, let alone his muscles and his, his pumped up body. I mean, he was pumping iron all his life when Richard Gere was flirting with women. The other guy was in the gym playing, not just Rambo and Rocky on screen, but also training for them. So he has to be in good shape. He still is. But he looks like the water in his body is taken out, because as you get old, that happens, I guess. But, I mean, still, the guy, 73 years old, is Rambo Last Blood, for God's sakes. What are you doing, Richard Gere? Still American Gigolo? No, can't even be American Gigolo. So back in those days, though, in 1994, 25 years ago, if there was a fight, I mean, it would be no contest. It would be no contest. Then, of course, as far as Lady Diana goes, these two, they could not be in a competition to lure Lady Diana, because Richard Gere is such a handsome guy and such a romantic guy. He was married to one of the most beautiful women in the world, Cindy Crawford. And look who Sylvester Stallone was married to. Bridget Nielsen? Come on. So the fight, yes, Richard would lose. But I don't know what they did after that night with Lady Diana, but I'm sure if he flirted with her, there must be something there, because good-looking guy, good-looking woman, both available at the time. So thanks to Elton John, we now know the story of what happened between these three. And this is the weird story of the week. The weirdest part being Elton John's husband trying to break up their fight, getting in between of Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. I don't know. That part I kind of don't believe. But there's another story this week, and it's everyone's talking about the Joker, the psychological thriller. Perfect typecast. Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin. You say Joaquin? I think Joaquin Phoenix. He's the weird psycho. He doesn't need makeup. He looks weird. He acts weird. He is weird. I mean, it's the perfect typecast. He's 45 years old. He always looked weird. He always looked like a psycho. He was born to be the Joker. Joker is a brutal, dark, painful journey of self-destruction. It's a disturbing movie. It's a science fiction. He was in science fiction movies, horror movies. Like, I think in 2004, he was in The Signs. Joaquin Phoenix. The Village. Both M. Night Shyamalan movies, which makes you weird automatically. If you're in a M. Night Shyamalan movie, you have to be weird. You have to be a psycho. Can't be. He doesn't pick normal players. I mean, he doesn't cast normal players. You have to look a little bit weird, a little bit psycho. And as a psychological thriller, Joker, I mean, perfect match. I haven't seen the movie yet, but they say he plays excellent. I'm sure he does. He lost a lot of weight. He didn't need to, because I would have believed him whether he lost weight. Even if he gained 20 pounds, I don't care. Joaquin Phoenix would make me believe, the way he looks only, that he could be a weird psycho and he could be a Joker. So anyway, he was in the Gladiator, Commodus. He was a bad guy there too. In 2013, he was in a movie called Her. Theodore, I think he was. He was talking to himself or to an operating system named Samantha. So he's weird. He's weird. Perfect typecast. Now, if it was like